All right, hello. This is Philip Castor. This is my first login for the new year. I'm pursuing my favorite hobby so far. I'm learning Texas Hold'em and improving my game, listening to the pros and improving my game in practice. So I'm playing big tournaments and some live tables. I'm doing pretty well. I have my last 5 days, I started tracking my activity, and I came up ahead. So in 5 days, I played 30 tournaments, got 14 monies, which means I got in the money 14 times out of 30, and 3 final tables. I'm starting over another 5-day activity stat record, and as of right now, I've played 2 tournaments and made 1 final table. I got knocked out. I had pocket kings and an ace 5, big money, the big chip leader. I minimum bet raised because that's what I do to induce other raises. Then I can go all in. But this time I got called by the big money, and he had ace 5 offsuit. On the flop was a 5 and a couple of other low cards. So I shoved all in, and he called, and on the turn was a 5. So I was out. And so far, day 1, 2 tournaments, 1 final table. And I will continue to keep you updated on my improvements. I am spending much time learning how to play better, learning from the pros, right here on YouTube, watching many videos and listening to many pros, little tidbits here and there, learning about the charts and learning my game, so that when I finally get the opportunity to play live money, that I will not go in without a strategy. My strategy is working. And my strategy so far is to play tight and play real tight, wait for that opportunity to double up, and you're either out or you're in, and you got to get past that minimum bubble of basically blinding out in these tournaments. And you got to be patient, very, very patient. And sometimes you're folding beautiful hands just because I'm learning that most of the time they're not bluffing. Big money will bluff until they're caught, but most of the time they're not bluffing in these tournaments. And I don't like coin flips, but I'm learning from the pros that there are certain strategies, such as when you're the third person to go all in, and you don't have pocket aces or pocket kings, just let it go. Just fold it. If you're pre-flop and 2 other people are going all in, or 2 or more in front of you, just let it go and get another chance. Waiting. I've been bubble boy a few times. I've been bad beated. I've sat down to pocket aces and got bad beated and knocked out. It's quite a ride. I've hit runner quads. I've hit all kinds of 1 and 2 outers, and it's a beautiful thing. It's poetry in motion, and I'm having fun. So I will keep you updated on my improvement, and eventually I would like to play for real, but I've got to build up a bankroll and keep my strategy and stick to my guns, and eventually I'm going to have an opportunity to play real money and play it right and play against pros. Because I used to sit down, not knowing what I was doing, just loved playing. Sometimes I'd be really lucky, and sometimes I wouldn't. But now that the light is on, and you realize that there are a lot of strategies, a lot of percentages, a lot of paying attention to patterns and position, and it's there's a word I'm looking for. It's there's times, there's moments when you just got to do it. I mean, you just got to go in or you got to stay out. And there's some times where, there's going to be a life-changing experience in the future where if I'm up early and I have an opportunity just to wait out, not necessarily win the tournament, but wait out and get a big chunk of money, I'm going to do it. I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Eventually, I want to be good enough so that I can take the opportunity to try out my skills. And I'm told that basically you got to basically play like $200 tournaments and play about 40 of those or 200 of those, which is about $40,000. I don't have that kind of money. I'm going to try some online as soon as I get a bankroll going, a couple $100 saved up. Try online, and I want to get about 500 bankroll saved up so that I can try online. But right now I'm practicing. Practice. And I have time to play some games, and I'm looking forward to improving my skills, even in Fantasyland. Yes, there's a lot of crazies, and people are like, why do you spend money? I have spent probably around $200 total. Not to mention that hours and hours of practice and listening to pros and actually taking in and utilizing what they're saying, understanding what they're saying, catching words and phrases. Like Phil Hellmuth. Phil Hellmuth gave a great little tidbit live at the bike. He was talking to a guy, and a guy was ridiculing him. Phil Hellmuth takes a lot of crap because he's one of the best. And when somebody gets one on him or he's having a bad day, he's easy pickings when it comes to emotion. So Phil Hellmuth tells this guy, he says, I've been laying down some quality hands, and Phil Hellmuth, one thing about at the moment, at the table, you're not being totally truthful, but you are giving away information. And like Daniel Negreanu says, everything someone does is information. And I'm understanding that. And in the online world, you don't get facial expressions, and you don't get that physical, moment-to-moment interaction. What you get are patterns, and every person has patterns, and just like the best teams in different sports, if you're able to change up, maximize your strengths and change up your weaknesses so that you're minimizing your weaknesses, and you can change up your plays and your patterns so that they can't track you as easy, you begin to start understanding how the pros, are always in the money. And I mean always as in a good percentage of the time. They're making big money a lot of the time. And one guy says, you're in a tournament, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So you're not going to win the tournament in the first day if it's like the main event that takes 5-6 days to play, you're not going to get in the money till the end of the third day. Smaller tournaments, you're not going to win the tournament in the first hand. Now, some people, you're on a rush, you're knocking people out, you're chip leader, and then all of a sudden you go cold. I'm learning, you're on a rush, you keep going until they stop you. That's one tidbit. If you're on a rush, if you're on a good roll and you're running hard, running good, you're catching the cards and you're winning pots and you're big money. You're going to keep going until they stop you. Then you tighten back up. You slow down, you tighten back up, you wait for another rush. You have the chips now. You can sit around and wait for your opportunities. You don't have to be in a hurry. You don't have to go heads up pre-flop unless you have pocket aces or pocket kings and somebody well covered, because there's other big dogs out there that are not thinking the way you're thinking, or they're thinking they can steal money. So, I'm learning these things. So, the patterns that you're playing, the cards that you're playing, quality cards all the time, tight, position. Don't go coin flipping. A lot of people, there are plenty of people out there that want to win the pot before the flop, and they'll bluff you out of your stuff. Let them bluff. You get the quality cards. You wait for your pocket aces. You wait for your ace king suited. You wait for your pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket pairs, and getting to see your flop and getting to see because I'm just saying, you wait for your opportunity. The cheapest, keep your chips out of the pot. I like to minimum bet. Daniel Negreanu has changed his game up. He minimum bets on anything and everything, because there's people out there. If you're holding pocket aces and you minimum bet, it usually entices someone with a nice hand to bet. And I just made it to the final table in my last practice game by minimum betting pocket aces, and someone with a few more chips than me had ace jack offsuit, and he said he'd been winning a lot with those ace jacks, so he went all in, and I called. And that's the way it was pre-flop. And I had pocket aces, I had him covered, and I eventually doubled up on him, and he was crippled. So sometimes I change it up, but most of the time I'm getting better at this. I'm actually really practicing. So I'm really being consistent more. And when I mess up, you mess up small, or sometimes you take a chance and you go for it. You're not going to win them all. But the game plan is getting better. So I'll keep you updated. And I'm going to go back in. I'm going to play another game, play another tournament, and after that tournament, I'll give you a heads up on what I'm doing. So you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you, pros. I didn't tell you what. Wait, real quick. I didn't tell you what Phil Hellmuth said. He told this guy live at the bar. He said, I'm folding hands here and there. I'm letting you win little pots. But eventually, I will catch you and grab 20. I'll get you for 20,000. You'll get me for a few thousand here and there, and you'll go home bragging to your wife, "Oh, I beat Phil Hellmuth." But you won't tell her about the 20,000 I took from you. So that got me thinking. Okay, you play some small pots. Play some small pots. This is once you've doubled up. Once you've got out of that bubble of being sucked out on blinds. So you're low on blinds, and eventually you're hoping you can get in cheap and get a quality hand and double up, or at least keep winning little pots, sucking out little pots until you've got enough chips to where you can actually play patiently and a little more loose. But once you're up in the blinds, you've got plenty of chips, What he's saying is, now his was a live game, so you can buy in, buy in, buy in. So, but using his method in the tournament, I give a little, I give a little. You know, they'll see some small pots, or I'll show them what I was trying to do, and then I'll tighten up, and then I'll hit big, and then I'll double up, and then I'll go loose, you know, raise a little till they stop me. And then I'll tighten up, and then I'll hit, and then I'll keep going until they stop me, and then I'll double up. And I've been doing really good. So that's I'm listening to the pros, and I'm listening to Daniel Negreanu. Daniel Negreanu is very smart, one of the best poker players in the world of all time, and he learns to adapt. And he says if you're not learning, you're getting left behind. So. Phil Hellmuth is a great pro to listen to. Daniel Negreanu, great pro to listen to. There are vloggers out here that are a world ahead of entertainment, because it's fun to watch them and seeing what they're doing and how they're doing it and where they're going and what they're doing. But I've got a wife and a child. I've got a job. I don't have the money backing, but if you want to go to PokerStars Lite, and you'll see Phil Billy 42. That's Phil Billy 4242. That's my my name on the site, and you go and look at the tournaments, and you'll see me. I try to stay in the big monies now because I'm doing good. And I have the money to play, the fake money to play, and I'm doing real well. And you'll see me in the big tournaments, the 1 million, the 500s. I don't like the six-handed, because I like to sit out, and like I'll have time at work when I'm slow or something, or have to take a break from the game. So I can't play every hand sometimes, so I can sit out and not lose much money. Or when you're driving, you can't play when you're driving. So I'm within 10 minutes of something. So anyway, that's enough for now. Now I'm just rambling. But anyway, if you want to come and see me play, eventually I want to get backed by someone. I want to show my stats. I'm taking pictures of my stats, or the games that I'm winning, the final tables that I'm at. So right now it's Fantasyland. It's practice, practice, practice. I'm watching vlogs, video blogs of poker players, and listening and watching tournaments with the pros winning, the final tables, how they're playing. You learn a lot about bluffing. You learn a lot about, what they're repping, terminology, patterns, and situations. Situational poker. There it is. Every hand is situational. And Daniel is brilliant at this. Daniel Negreanu is very brilliant at situational poker. And he can wipe the floor of you by not only narrowing in on what you might have, or what you're repping, but also knowing his situation. And usually you see a pile of chips before you see the situational poker. If you're low in chips, you're either you're waiting for those pre-flop hands that you can shove with, or you're waiting to hit a great flop cheap, or you're waiting to suck out and get lucky. Then when you get plenty of chips, and these pros, when they get plenty of chips, that's when they get dangerous. They get real dangerous. So anyway, that's what I'm learning these things. And I'm going to keep you updated. So this is Philip Castor. Remember, Phil Billy 4242 on PokerStars. And it's PokerStars Lite, so it's play money. But anyway, the 1 millions, the 500,000s, and down to 200,000, 100,000, depending upon what's playing at the time. Those are the ones I'm playing. And sometimes the live tables, 50,000, 200,000. And I'm doing all right there too. 2 out of 3 times I'll come away positive so I'm practicing both. So, all right. Till my next vlog.